everything. I murdered him because I wanted her.
Now, he hoped the jury would believe his story, that Monica was not, in fact, involved, but the jury didn't buy it.
It sounded like you had the discretion to choose the lower conspiracy, which would have been some term of years to life.
Right.
But he chose life in prison without parole.
She once lived a life most people could only dream of. A spacious home in Woodland Hills, California, a loving husband, 2 beautiful daughters, a name that carried prestige in beauty circles, Sementilli. But behind the golden facade, behind every glossy photograph and polished smile, there lived a woman drowning in quiet dissatisfaction. Her name was Monica Sementilli. Before she was the woman the world would come to know in courtroom headlines, Monica was simply a daughter of immigrants, raised with the old world belief that family honor meant everything. Her parents came to California with calloused hands and empty pockets. They worked long days so their children would never taste struggle. Monica grew up watching her mother iron other people's clothes, her father fix cars in the blistering sun. In their world, sacrifice was love. By the time she turned 21, Monica had learned to smile even when she felt invisible. She met Fabio Sementilli, an Italian-Canadian hairstylist with an energy that filled every room. He was charming, magnetic, a dreamer with scissors in his hand and fire in his heart. Their love bloomed fast, a whirlwind romance, a fairy tale wedding, and soon 2 daughters. Fabio's career soared. A stylist to stars, an executive at Wella, traveling the world teaching artistry. Everywhere he went, people adored him. And Monica, she became the wife of Fabio Sementilli. She smiled at galas, shook hands at industry events, cooked dinners that often went cold, waiting for him to return. To the outside world, she was lucky. But in private moments, Monica often stood at the kitchen window, looking out at the glowing Los Angeles skyline, wondering if this was all life had meant for her, to exist in someone else's story. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt unseen in your own life, make sure you subscribe, like, and share these stories, because truth deserves to be heard. Monica's truth was only beginning to unfold. From the outside, the Sementilli home was a monument to success, a Spanish-style mansion with terracotta roof tiles, a shimmering pool, and photos of smiling faces lining the hall. Inside, the silence grew louder each year. Fabio was always on the move, stage lights, shows, flights. When he was home, his mind was often elsewhere, business calls, hair competitions, interviews. Monica tried to fill the gaps, volunteering, exercising, pretending everything was fine. But cracks began to show. At dinners, they spoke less. In bed, they lay back to back, scrolling through phones, each lost in private worlds. Fabio's warmth, once her comfort, had become distance she couldn't bridge. She watched him sleep sometimes and thought, how did we become strangers? The tension between perfection and emptiness carved her heart hollow. Friends would say, "You're so lucky," and Monica would smile, but behind her eyes was a woman begging to be seen, to be wanted. At charity events, she'd catch herself scanning the room, looking for connection, something real. That's when she met Robert Louis Baker. Robert wasn't part of her circle. He was younger, athletic, charming, someone who looked at her the way Fabio once did. They met at a racquetball club, exchanged harmless jokes, numbers, then messages. At first, it was flirtation, the kind that feeds a lonely ego. But soon, the messages turned intimate. You deserve more. He doesn't see you the way I do. You and I, Monica, we could start over. And she believed him. Their affair grew in secret. Afternoon drives, whispered phone calls, hotel rooms under aliases. Robert gave her adrenaline. He made her feel alive, but he also whispered dangerous things. how life could be easier, freer, especially with the right insurance payout. Around this time, Fabio had updated his life insurance policy, worth millions. The whispers became plans. Plans became obsession. They began speaking in codes, using encrypted apps, deleting messages. Monica studied the cameras in their home, rehearsed alibis, and mapped routines. She convinced herself it wasn't real, that she was only imagining what they spoke about. But she wasn't. "I can't live without you," Robert texted. "Then we'll make it happen," Monica replied. Behind those 7 words was the death of every moral thread she once held. She didn't realize the universe was already recording every heartbeat, every secret, every lie. That winter evening was quiet. Fabio sat on the patio, cigarette in hand, reviewing photos for his next hair show. Inside, Monica prepared dinner, her face calm, eyes empty. At 5 p.m., the security footage would later show an unfamiliar figure slipping through the back gate. By 5:30, Fabio lay on the ground bleeding, stabbed multiple times. When Monica's daughter arrived home later, she found the door unlocked, the scene horrific. Police arrived, neighbors gathered in disbelief. News outlets called it a brutal home invasion. Fabio, the beloved hair icon, gone. Monica's grief appeared genuine, her sobs echoing through the halls. But to seasoned detectives, something didn't add up. The house wasn't ransacked. Nothing valuable was missing. At Fabio's funeral, Monica held her daughters close, whispered, "We'll get through this." Cameras captured tears streaming down her face. Behind those tears was a secret darker than anyone could imagine. That night she lay awake, replaying every second. Somewhere in her mind, guilt clawed its way in, but she silenced it. She had to. It was the night that shattered a family, and the beginning of justice. Months passed. Detectives combed through evidence, DNA from under Fabio's fingernails, footprints, text records. A year later, technology caught up. GPS data linked Robert's car to the area that night. One by one, secrets unraveled. They found Monica's deleted messages, fragments of chats, and surveillance footage showing Robert's visits. When confronted, Robert crumbled. Under pressure, he admitted the affair, and soon suspicion turned to conspiracy. In 2019, the LAPD announced arrests. Monica Sementilli and Robert Louis Baker charged with murder and conspiracy. The beauty industry trembled. Headlines exploded. Celebrity hairstylist's wife arrested in murder plot. The daughters were devastated, torn between disbelief and horror. Friends who once envied Monica now avoided her name. At home, detectives found evidence: phone logs, insurance documents, and browser history. The motive was clear: greed, freedom, desire. Monica's once perfect life collapsed like a glass chandelier. In interviews, neighbors recalled her calmness after the murder. One whispered, "She looked too composed." During questioning, Monica denied everything. "I loved my husband. I would never." But lies can't outlive truth. The trial preparation brought public humiliation. Fabio's sisters called her a disgrace. Friends turned away. Her daughters barely spoke to her, their eyes heavy with confusion and pain. She received letters, some hateful, some pleading for a confession. Inside jail walls, Monica began to crumble. She remembered her mother's voice: "No amount of money is worth your soul." The echo haunted her. In moments alone, she replayed her childhood, the warmth of her parents' home, the young girl who dreamed of being loved. That girl was gone. Her lawyers urged her to maintain innocence. Her family urged her to repent. The weight crushed her from both sides. She had gone from a socialite to a pariah, from loved to loathed. Still, deep inside, a spark of remorse began to flicker. For the first time, Monica started asking herself, "Who have I become?" She could no longer run from herself. The chapter closes on her silent walk into court, wrists shackled, head lowered. The cameras flash. The world watches. The trial in April 2025 gripped California. Reporters filled the gallery. Fabio's family sat on one side, Monica's on the other, a line of heartbreak between them. Prosecutors presented evidence, messages, insurance documents, and PAGA data. The motive was clear: greed, lust. Monica often wiped tears, sometimes trembling, sometimes stone-faced. Fabio's daughter took the stand. Her voice cracked as she spoke of her father's kindness, his laughter, the emptiness left behind. The courtroom fell silent. When Robert Baker testified, the truth pierced like a blade. He admitted the affair.
The plan, the lies. He claimed Monica initiated it. She shook her head, tears falling freely, but the jury saw through years of deceit. On April 11th, 2025, after deliberations, the verdict was read: guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. Monica collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. Reporters described her as shaking, broken. For the first time, the mask of composure shattered completely. But in that moment of collapse, something awakened, not denial, but confrontation. As guards led her away, she whispered, "Fabio, I'm sorry." That was the beginning of her real sentence, not the one handed down by a judge, but the one written in her conscience. In the solitude of her cell, Monica stared at her reflection in a small metal mirror. For the first time, she didn't see a victim. She saw the architect of her own destruction. And with that truth, she began her transformation. Monica Sementilli now serves life in prison without the possibility of parole. But inside those gray walls, something changed. She began attending therapy sessions, grief groups, and faith programs. She started journaling, page after page of reflection. She wrote letters to her daughters, though she never knew if they would read them. In her writings, she confessed not just guilt, but the deeper wounds that led her there. The craving for validation, the emptiness behind perfection, the danger of silence. Her fellow inmates described her as quiet, polite, almost maternal. Some said she often cried during chapel services. She volunteered in the prison library, organizing books about redemption and resilience. One day, a counselor asked her, "What do you hope people remember about you?" She replied softly, "That I finally told the truth, even if it came too late." Monica learned to live with accountability. She stopped calling herself a victim. She accepted justice as the only path to peace. Outside prison, Fabio's legacy lives on. Hairstylists still honor him at conventions, his name spoken with reverence. His daughters carry both pain and strength, one day hoping to forgive, if not forget. Monica's life became the cautionary tale she never imagined. A woman who had everything, lost everything, and learned too late that the greatest luxury is peace of mind. And so the story closes where it began, with the California sun setting over Woodland Hills, shadows stretching across the patio where love once lived, and silence holding the final word. Fabio's laughter may have faded, but his legacy lives in every soul that chooses kindness over greed, honesty over deceit, and love that heals, not destroys.